What do we have time-wise here, by the way?
As long as you want.
Okay, I think it should be about 45 minutes or so.
Blimey, all right.
20 questions here or something, you know.
Nice. Okay.
A couple minutes for each question. It won't take that long. At any rate, this recent release of yours, Giant Step, has resulted in the band receiving quite a bit of acclaim. I guess a Select magazine, I'm not familiar with that particular magazine, but they said it was the best release since REM's Automatic for the People.
Yeah, I got Album of the Year in that as well.
Okay, yeah. So the interviewer wants to know what do you think of this sort of treatment by the press? Are you taking it with a grain of salt, or is it better than that?
I don't know. 3 years ago, maybe we would have been a lot more excited, because when we first started, it was kind of, the press was everything to us, and we'd grown up reading it, and it was like reading about a different world and stuff. But once you've had it for 3 years, and they've written about it before, and they've praised you, and then they've slagged you off, and they've praised you again and stuff, you don't think too much about it. It is nice for it to happen, but we wouldn't have been any less proud of the album if it hadn't have happened.
But I guess you're quite a bit more jaded or rather detached now than...
Maybe.
It says here that in last year's Indies chart, towards the end of the year, the single Lazarus, the guy, upon hearing this song, it gave him the impression that the Blue Radleys had changed quite a bit. Was it sort of a turning point for you, or is that not a valid observation?
I think it was, because I hadn't written any songs for quite a while, and that was the first one that I'd written. And I don't know, I just started writing songs and hearing trumpets and cellos and stuff in my head instead of, or as well as guitars and stuff. So I think it gave us, especially when it was really well received, it gave us the confidence to go on and do more of the same type of thing.
Why do you think you started hearing other things other than the guitar in your head?
I have no idea. Maybe I was just fed up with guitar, bass, and drums. But we'd taken that as far as we could go, and we needed to do something different.
Did you have
keep ourselves amused as much as anyone else?
I see. So you're just sort of trying to break out of the mold you had already made for yourselves.
Yeah.
I guess that was sort of the theme or the motif, if you will. Yeah. Back when you guys debuted in about 1990, I guess it is.
Yeah.
He says that you're going to have to help me out here. There was something called the shoegazer movement, or the shoegazers were the rage at the time. You were seen as, I guess, part of that, or how do you define yourself? How were you guys defined in relation to that scene?
I don't know what it was all about. There was a group of bands, mainly from London and from that area, who were all influenced by My Bloody Valentine and groups like that, Space and 3 and stuff. And they all knew each other, and they all used to go to each other's concerts, and they all used to go drinking with each other. And they were called either shoegazers or the scene that celebrates itself. And we were stuck in Liverpool, and we didn't, no one ever used to write about us, and we didn't really care because we didn't know any of these bands, and we didn't like many of them. But then all of a sudden, when the backlash started against this movement, then we suddenly became involved. And people said we were part of it, and we just didn't have a clue what was going on. So we just ignored it in the end.
So you guys...
it was quite frustrating at the time because we were trying to get people to listen to our record, and and the press were just talking about us being at concerts where we weren't at and drinking with people who we didn't know and stuff. Kind of silly.
But sound-wise, there isn't any sort of common link in there. There's no.
Looking back now, I think there is.
Really?
None of these bands really sounded the same, but they were all influenced by much the same thing. You know, the Birds and My Bloody Valentine, the Juice and Mary Chain, stuff like that. We always thought we had better songs. They were more interested in the sounds of their records, you know, the guitars, getting weird guitar sounds and creating aural soundscapes and stuff. Whereas we just wanted to write groovy songs that you could sing in the bath and stuff.
Yeah, they were more into sonics, huh?
Yeah.
The interviewer here talks about your group as being defined by the quality of the sound. You know, there are strings, horns, choruses.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more traditionally English than just the sort of guitar-oriented sounds of the band you were talking about a second ago there.
Yeah.
I guess that would be a major difference. You guys have a little bit more breadth, a little more depth to your approach.
Yeah, I think they were kind of influenced by bands. You know, they didn't seem to have much of a record collection, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, the four of us, and we all like different kinds of music, and we've all been listening to music since we were, you know, 7 or 8 years old. And you know, I don't know. It's. I'm always looking for something new. I'm always trying to hear new kinds of music, and I think that just comes out in the record. Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously that you've developed quite a bit as a result. Looking back on your early recordings, I mean, how do they sound now to you?
They do sound they sound of their time, to put it that way. Because a lot of them have just been re-released now on one record. All the stuff we did for Rough Trade Records. And I listened to it yesterday, and I was quite surprised at how they sounded. And I think the main problem was that we used to use, because we didn't know our way around studios, we used to use producers, and they all had their own idea of what we should sound like. And kind of we didn't have the confidence or the guts to speak up and say, no, that's not right at all. But I mean, the songs are still good. I'm still really pleased with the songs. It's just that the sound of them.
I guess kind of a silly academic question, but if you had a chance to go back and re-record them, would they be substantially different from the way they are now?
Yeah, but I wouldn't do it. Because, you know, that is them. There's no point in changing them.
Yeah. There's a line in the song White Noise Revisited, Listen to the Beatles.
Right.
The guy wants to know, the interviewer would like to know, is this indicative of your love for guitar rock?
That was... The word Beatles in that line was supposed to be, you could... the individual listener could substitute it for his or her, the group that got them through school and work, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Sort of the guiding beacon of light there in you.
Yeah. You know, so it could be you listen to Jethro Tull or whatever, and so but the Beatles for me, you know, they were. Since I was born, almost, you know, fascinated with them, and so that kind of helped me through a lot of, you know, crappy times at school.
Well, how old are you? I mean, when were you listening to the Beatles?
When was that? I started listening to the Beatles when I was, I don't know, 8, 9.
Which would be about what year?
I was 8 in 19 1977.
77. So that was, quite a few years after the fact. Then you were kind of.
Oh yeah, I wasn't born until 68.
when the White Album came out.
Yeah. I rushed down to the shops to buy it.
So you got into the Beatles retroactively then, huh?
Oh yeah. I didn't have a choice.
But they were the group that got you through the trials and tribulations of your adolescence, huh?
Yeah, I think. Maybe they weren't the only group, but they were always there. Other groups came and went. Mm. But then them and Bob Dylan have always been there. Mm-hmm. It was just me playing my dad's records,
Yeah.
Out of interest.
Is that something you share in common with the other guys in the band? Or are they also former Beatles followers as well?
Sice, the singer, is. Because we've known each other since we were 10. Mm-hmm. And, we used to listen to them together and discuss them and all that sort of thing, and we still do. Mm-hmm. But the others not as much, really.
Really?
Not really, no. So they're into different things.
Well, when you were, 8 years old in 1977, I would imagine your friends weren't listening to that kind of thing, though, were they?
No, I don't think so. I can't really remember. Yeah. I just remember it being a kind of after-school thing, get home. And in Liverpool, they have, Beatle radio, well, not Beatle radio stations, but every station has a Beatle hour, at least twice a week or something.
Is that right?
And so you could, you didn't even have to buy the records, because I couldn't afford to, obviously. Mm. So it was my kind of secret thing. It was a private thing at the time. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until maybe later on when you discovered that other people liked them as well. Mm-hmm. And we were 14 or something.
The next one here is one of these questions that I personally cannot stand because it's a little bit too abstract, but here goes anyway. You guys, I guess, got together in '88, right? The band actually got together then.
Yeah.
And now this guy notes that at the time the music scene was sort of seemed to be locked in one place. It wasn't really going anywhere. At that time, what did you guys have a policy with regard to what was going on? Did you have any sort of approach in mind, how you were going to fit into the music scene, or was it just a matter of having your own music and playing and
no, I think 88 for us, 87, 88 were very exciting times for us.
Really?
We were 19 years old, 20 years old, or whatever, and there was these bands that were doing things with guitars that had never been done before. Not that we could remember anyway. The Spaceman 3 and Loop, A.R. Kane, My Buddy Valentine, Dinosaur Jr. Mm-hmm. And that's why we kind of in the end said, right, we've got to do it now, otherwise we're never going to do it. Mm-hmm. And so we just wanted to write songs like the Byrds, but make them sound like the end of the world and stuff. And we just used to make a real racket for about 20 minutes on stage, and then get off before we were thrown off. So that kind of got us noticed. People used to remember us as this band who'd turn up and just. But so we didn't really have any plan at that time.
Yeah. So if anything, you were swept up by the excitement of the time there.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Your band is often mentioned now in the same breath as REM, as I mentioned in the first question.
Yeah.
Whereas REM is more of your basic, straight-ahead guitar rock band, you guys seem to provide sort of something new, something different. What exactly do you think is the difference you provide?
I I don't know. God, which is an aria.
You get these questions, I'm telling you. I mean, they're very hard to answer because what this guy's basically asking for is a very serious analysis of what you're trying to do. And nobody really sits back and does that.
I mean, if it's... I don't know, you just throw me with this REM thing totally.
Really?
Yeah, I don't, you know, I think the difference I think that we have is that we just try for a lot of variation.
Mm-hmm.
An album for us should be, you know, shouldn't just be one sound going through the entire record.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, that is so boring, it's untrue. Unless you're remarkably talented at writing songs and the songs just stand up for themselves,
mm-hmm.
which not many people can do nowadays.
Yeah, yeah.
So we need some variation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, something like the White Album.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was the same thing. I'm still listening to it now, and I can hear different things in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we wanted.
Also, I think you answered the first question with something along the lines you wanted to write the songs. Provide.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's just. I never say that because that's kind of such a natural thing that I think everyone thinks, but absolutely don't.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, it's just all about songs, really.
Yeah.
You know, if you haven't got them, you know, if the songs on this album hadn't been that good, then you know, no one would have liked it whatsoever. It would have been a waste of time.
Yeah.
Anyone can put trumpets on a record. Anyone can do that sort of thing.
Who are the great songwriters now?
Nowadays?
Yeah.
Oh God, there isn't many. I don't know. I think that guy. I really like Nirvana.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's actually a very good songwriter.
Mm-hmm. Kurt Cobain.
When he makes the effort.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, there isn't many.
Do you keep up with the current scene very much, or do you find yourself sort of turning your back on it and just concentrating?
No, I try and do that. I try and. It's been hard recently. I mean, I've just come home after 3 months away touring, and you have to try and get back into the swing of things.
Yeah, but the reason I threw that question in there, it wasn't on the list here, is because this guy keeps on using the word guitar rock, and he wants to know, well, you know, what does he think of guitar rock this, and what does he think of guitar rock that?
It's the same as when you go to France and the same. So, are you grunge, or are you noisy pop, or are you pop noisy? And you're saying it doesn't matter, you know. We're not anything. We're just a full musician.
Yeah.
You know, want to write good songs.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no difference between Public Enemy and the Beach Boys and Mozart or something. They're just it's all music.
Right.
And then some people just insist on throwing these things at you.
Mm-hmm.
Guitar rock. I mean, what does that mean?
What I'm reminded of right now is, I guess, fellow Liverpudlian Elvis Costello, who seems to want to write good songs in a number of contexts. They can be, you know, country and western. They can be for string quartet. They can be for, you know, rockabilly band. They can be for just about anything. But it's always the songs.
That's true. That's very true.
And I guess maybe he qualifies as one of the great songwriters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting back to the questions I'm being paid to ask you. I guess on the latest release, you have guest vocals by Marielle, formerly of the Pale Saints, or currently of the Pale Saints. She toured with you as well.
Well, we toured with the Pale Saints.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
This is again asking for an historical analysis, but looking back on you know, the so-called shoegazers and that whole the spirit of the time you were talking about, you know, My Bloody Valentine, etc. What sort of significance do you think that music had historically? I mean, what means did it serve?
One thing that we realized is that it didn't have any significance whatsoever, because no one ever heard it. You know, you had all these bands trying to sound like My Bloody Valentine who never sold any records in the first place. So I think it's going to be something that maybe in 10, 15 years people will look back and say, oh my God, that was brilliant.
Really?
I think maybe, yeah. I mean, some of it was incredible. But no one ever heard it. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, they never really did anything outside England. But you didn't think that at the time. You just thought it was great, and you thought it could take over the world and stuff.
Maybe
it's like the band Love. You know, they're probably more popular now than they've ever been. And yet, at the time, they didn't sell any records.
No, they didn't. They didn't. Although they had, very, very strong following, sort of in certain quarters.
Yeah.
And a lot of respect, but no, they were never massive stars.
Whereas now every young band in Britain talks about them and wants to sound like them.
This is true. This is a question about your lyrics. There seems to be a heavy emphasis on the alienation that adolescents feel.
There was on this album, and I don't know why it was. It was just a stage I was going through at the time, because they were all written around the same time, and I was 23, and I was really, I just thought I was getting old and stuff. So yeah, I mean, some of the songs are celebrating youth and friendship as well. You know, because a lot of songs are written about me and Cyrus, because we've known each other now 15 years or whatever. And so there's a lot of different stuff on there, but they are mainly about, growing up, school, work.
How about this particular song, Spun Around, where you say, my God is nowhere to be found? The interviewer wants to know, is this about solitude and alienation, and what exactly, and are you referring to your own personal experiences, or?
That's something my God is doing. That's kind of trying to find a reason for what you're doing. Trying to find something that, just something to grab hold of, because I mean this is a bit. This job can get a bit weird at times, and you need like an island of sanity occasionally, which is so it's kind of that sort of thing. It's like I've Lost the Reason as well. There's a song called I've Lost the Reason, and then the chorus is like I've got more to find and stuff. And sometimes you just think, am I serving a purpose by doing what I'm doing? Is there any point to it? But which is silly, because there is, I'm hopefully doing for other people what music did for me when I was a kid, which is all I can hope for, really.
Yeah, there was a question about that, about the idea of music being sort of a means of salvation, or a means of education, or enlightenment, or whatever. So I guess the question here is what was it that way for you? And the answer is obviously yes.
Yeah, it was weird, because I was always brought up to think that was wrong, by teachers and employers and stuff who said, get all this music stuff out of your head, it's not important. Grow up and stuff. And so, which is probably why I have this problem now of wondering whether what I'm doing is worthwhile. But especially recently, I've had you get a lot of letters and mail and stuff from people who just felt the same way I did, and it is really gratifying to get those letters saying, the songs that I write are helping them through college or whatever it is that they're doing. Stuff. Hopefully inspire them to get out of it and do something more.
I guess, in material society, people often become sort of blinded to, non-material values.
Yeah,
if you're not like making shoes for a living or something, you're not contributing to society. Therefore, you should have no sense of personal worth.
That's definitely the case.
So when you were younger, you listened to stuff like the Beatles, and that sort of put you on the right track, then, huh?
Yeah.
Well, what other bands were there? I mean, was it?
Well, that was when I was really young, and then kind of in the early '80s when we were 12, 13, whatever. That's when we started listening to contemporary stuff, and we were really into the British pop stuff like the Human League and the Associates and Duran Duran and all that. And we really went for that in a big way. And then when it started getting crappy in the mid '80s, that's when we went back and started discovering Love and the Birds and Buffalo Springfield, Tim Buckley and stuff like that. And then after that, that's when we got the Mary Chain and all these bands that we were really into.
Yeah. So, I mean, but obviously you shared common musical roots with them.
Sorry?
I guess you shared common musical roots with them, but while you were kind of digging back into the older stuff, I guess they were digging back into it as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. More about the lyrics here. There's something about, there's a song, Run My Way.
Run My Way, Runway.
Yeah, Run My Way, Runway, which is this about, like, seeking independence?
No, it's about fear of flying.
That's all?
Yeah, it's, that's all it is. I'm petrified of flying. I hate it.
Because the sound is very sort of distorted.
It's kind of, I tried to make it sound like an aeroplane engine. It's got a lot of vibrato on it and stuff. It just sounds like a real dodgy old propeller plane. So that's all it is, really.
How about One Is For?
That was, I'm not embarrassed by it, but that's a bit of a weird one. It was, because I bought this book of a few books on Chinese poetry, which I was quite interested in, and you've got all these, like, 4-line poems and stuff, which are very simple, and it was just supposed to be kind of like that. But I'm not sure if it works or not. I can't even remember what I wrote. But
it's more of a phonetic thing then, rather than a...
Yeah.
There's no real message in there.
No.
Okay. Also, there's White Noise Revisited again. There's a line, "Hey, what is the noise?"
What's that noise?
Yeah.
That was just about when around the time or just before the band started, when we had jobs in the civil service and we hated it with a passion and we didn't know why we were doing it, and and you used to hate yourself as much as anything for doing it, for not getting out and trying to do something else. And it was about just getting home and then managing to lose yourself into your records again, which helped so much and eventually inspired.
This "Wish I Was Skinny," this is sort of a humorous one, or?
It is kind of, yeah. It's just about being in school and being crap and spotty and stuff, and wanting to be, like when we were in school and we just wanted to be in Duran Duran and swan around in limos and go out with models and all that stuff. But we weren't, we were just rubbish.
So there's sort of I guess, irony involved.
Yeah.
I guess you talk about my hair is thin, my size is large. Is that referring to yourselves?
Yeah, that was. I don't know. I must have been a real miserable bastard at the time. Probably a period of self-loathing there. Last year I did put on a lot of weight. I was really fat compared to what I'd been like previously.
So this guy said he likes this sort of self-deprecating humor. Considers it one of your more endearing points.
Yeah, because there's a kid I was in New York a couple of weeks ago, and I was doing interviews in Columbia, the offices, and some kid came in and said he was only about 19 and had been losing his hair for a couple of years, and because of that line, he'd finally, after 2 years, taken his hat off and walked around and wasn't worried about it anymore because of that. Which
really?
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
He was wondering about the type of people that come out to see the shows, or they're not like sort of rock and roll animals, are they? It seems like they would be more the. He heard that your fans are more respectful, or more. They're sort of what's the word? They're not just there to mess up the place or make noise. They're more.
It's different. It's different in England. They are kind of the mess up the place type of people, and in America they're more the respectful people. And in France it's just pandemonium. It really is mental.
Really?
Yeah, we're like the Beatles in France. I think they're trying to make up for the fact that they didn't like the Beatles. We do really well over there.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Why do you think you've struck a common, responsive chord with the French?
I have absolutely no idea. I have no idea. But they just go apeshit.
Really? That's amazing. Yeah. I've never heard of any band that's received that well in France.
Yeah, it's great.
Let's see. He knows that you're from Liverpool, and that. Let's see. Got this thing in Japanese, so I have to read it as I go along. I guess coming from Liverpool, you're sort of made very aware at a young age that this is where the Beatles started. This is one of rock and roll's legends. So from a very early age, you were exposed to rock and roll then, huh?
Yeah, because my mum and dad, my dad especially, was really into music and stuff. He used to play his Elvis records endlessly.
Well, you said you started listening to music at 7 or 8, which is actually pretty young to start listening to rock and roll.
I guess so, yeah. But I didn't have a choice, it was just on. It was always on while I was around.
Do you have older brothers and sisters who are listening to it, or was it you just?
No, I've got a twin brother. He was more interested in war, actually.
In what?
War.
And like guns and drugs and fatigues and stuff like that.
Yeah. Which I could never really get into.
Oh, I see.
I was, I burnt me draft cards and stuff while he went off, and I listened to the Beatles.
Another band from Liverpool, The Laws. I guess you covered a song of theirs. There She Goes.
Yeah. Oh God, we were forced to do it. We didn't want to do it.
Really? Is that right?
Oh, I wish we hadn't done it.
Who forced you?
Columbia Records in America. They didn't force us, but they offered us loads of cash, and we were dead poor. And so we did it, and we didn't realise. They didn't tell us what film it was or anything. We didn't realise it was going to be a big film.
What was it? What movie?
It was a Michael Myers film. Oh God, the guy who did Wayne's World. It was. So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Oh yeah, sure.
And it did crap in the States. We were dead made up, but it's doing really well in England now. So we're on the telly on all these adverts for it. And we haven't told anyone it's us because we're really embarrassed.
Really?
And in the end, we didn't get paid for it. So it's a sore subject.
So it's not as if you're fans of the Laws then, huh?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a couple of good songs, but.
Question about Lee Mavers? Mavers.
Yeah.
What is happening with him or her? I'm not...
He's a singer of the Laws.
Oh, I see. Uh-huh.
I have no idea what... I don't understand why he thinks I should know what's happening.
I guess you come from
somebody
Liverpool.
I've never met.
He figures everybody from Liverpool knows what everybody else knows.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I was in America last week, somebody came up to me and said, "Do you know a guy called Michael in London who goes to gigs and rides a bike?"
Yeah, I'm afraid you get guys like that. There's a last question here, which is one I can finally answer, I think. Or at least when I know what he's talking about. He wants to know where the name Boo Radleys came from.
Yeah, that's from the book To Kill a Mockingbird.
To Kill a Mockingbird, yeah.
Yeah.
So you just were you guys really impressed by the book or the movie, or what exactly?
I think we did the book in school, and it was probably the only book in school that we had any interest in whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Because they make you read such crap in school, it's unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And because even though it was written in, God, when was it written? Was it the 60s or the 50s?
Well, the movie came out in about 63, so that would the book would have probably come out in the 50s.
Right, mm-hmm. And that was the most contemporary book that we did. Mm-hmm. And then I noticed it was quite a while after that we chose the name. We just thought it was a cool name.
Yeah.
We didn't really go into it in any depth. We just thought, what's the groovy name? Mm-hmm. It doesn't sound like anyone else will do that.
There was.
Yeah.
Had you seen the movie at that time, or you had just read
I can't remember. I think we must have seen it in class. They must have shown it to us in class.
Mm-hmm. Because the...
Gregory Peck.
Yeah, well, the part of Boo Radley was played by a very young Robert Duvall.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, it was probably his first major role.
Because we keep getting asked, what does Robert Duvall, does he like your records?
What's that?
People keep asking us that in foreign countries.
Yeah, he's a great singer. Okay, Martin, well, I think I got what I need to know.
All right, cool.
Yeah, so there's nothing else that you should report on the band, or we should know about, or any recent developments? Newsworthy developments?
No, I don't think so. I think we're going to Japan though next year.
Oh, really?
I would hope so.
Are you touring right now?
No, God, no, it's just finished.
Oh, I see.
That's why I'm in bed. I'm going to be in bed for the next week.
Uh-huh.
We just did Europe, Scandinavia, and America.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good.
Who were you touring with?
Just on our own.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we did the odd gigs with people. We did a gig with the Lemonheads somewhere near the North Pole in a circus tent, which was quite weird.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I wish you the best of luck, and hope to see you guys when you get out here.
All right. Brilliant.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
Okay then.
All right.
Bye.